And I think this is one that's gonna break a lot of your beliefs. And so I wanna really emphasize this one because it's important. Once you start making content, once you start running ads and you start putting stuff out publicly, you start advertising, you're gonna get to a point where you're like, I feel like I've said everything that I was going to say. Now, remember, you continue to live life every day, you continue to do stuff, and you can talk about what you did, so that can break that. But my mom said this to me once, and I always remembered it. She said, the news never changes, just the names. And I really thought about that. It was like, there's always a rape, there's a war, there's a murder, there's a car accident. Like, the actual story doesn't change, only the names. And so if you think about that with content, like there is no new content. Like the human condition has not changed for thousands of years. Like the older the problem, the older the solution. And so we're making content and we're putting stuff out there. And when I think about myself, the things that I follow, like I follow philosophy pages because I am okay rereading Epictetus' stuff. Like I read his stuff before and I read it in quote form again, and when it comes up again, I like to be reminded. I like to keep this stuff top of mind. That's why I follow those pages. And many people follow your pages for that exact same reason, is that the stuff you talk about is stuff that they want to keep top of mind. They want to be reminded of that stuff. And getting taught is much more difficult than being reminded, but they're equally valuable. Because if it changes their behavior, then you still did teach them. Again, you just reminded them. And what's crazy about this is that like the Friends show right now, if you've ever heard of it, is being watched more now than it was a few years ago. So reruns, like people watch reruns because there's nostalgia or whatever reasons you want to pick to it, but people are willing to rewatch the same thing because they know how it ends and they know they liked it. And so you can make the same thing again because also your audience who's new a year later hasn't seen that thing. And so if you make something new to them, even though it's quote old or a reminder to your existing audience doesn't mind the reminder, and the new people never saw it to begin with. And if you want to have different ways of creating variety, even around the same topics, I would encourage you, instead of thinking of getting into trend hacking and talking about the news, talk about your news.